Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by Kalshi. On Kalshi, trade every single game. Use promo code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10. I'm Dave Gasper here. Lots to get to on the show today. The Brewers win Game 1 over the Cubs in this series in Wrigley. They snapped the Cubs' 15-game winning streak at Wrigley Field. You absolutely love to see it, and they do it in big fashion, winning 9-3. Couple of big innings there for the Brewers, getting to Shota Imanaga. Jake Bauers, a 3-run homer. Christian Yelich goes yard. You love to see that as well. Yelich having dealt with the back issues for a couple of days. Homers in Minnesota, then homers right away in Chicago. You love to see it. And the offense being able to actually provide enough support here for the pitching, which is nice to see because in Minneapolis, the offense was really struggling with runners in scoring position. They were struggling to put up enough runs. You had those one-run games, but this time the offense, 13 hits, their most hits against the Cubs in a game since 2023. So it's been a while since I've had that good of an offensive performance, but they came through. Everyone in the lineup was able to get on base. And you have that kind of success. You love to see it. Jackson Chourio hitting the ball well. You're able to see all these guys put up some really, really good production. And to do it against the Cubs, because now the Brewers are sitting just a half game back of the Cubs in the NL Central. The Cubs have lost 7 of their last 9. They've been in a bit of a skid here. I mean, they jumped out to such a big lead. They had that winning streak at home. They've been on the road for a little bit. Now coming back, that home mojo is gone, or at least for game 1 of that series, it's certainly gone. And so you get to the Cubs there. And Cubs fans were certainly not happy with it because they get to the end of the game, they're seeing that they're getting blown out, they're down 6. They start chanting Green Bay sucks because when in doubt, when your baseball team is being bad, you just got to talk about the other city's football team, even though it's not technically their city. Milwaukee and Green Bay are 2 different cities. It's the same state, sure, but yeah, it's kind of a weird look for Cubs fans to all of a sudden be chanting about football there because their baseball team is down by 6 runs. That's apparently all that they have to hold on to now. So whatever. It's Chicago. I couldn't explain it to you. They make no sense over there. But whatever helps them to sleep at night, I guess. But the Brewers get the all-important win in Game 1 of this series as they look to continue things and keep that going again. Because you had the wind blowing out here at Wrigley, so you had that concern. It's like, okay, there's probably going to be a lot of offense in this game. You get Yelich, you get Bauers. You get a couple of big knocks there, and it just kind of helps pour it on for this team. And Jake Bauers is who I kind of want to talk about here as well a little bit because, Bauers, the last couple of days, he came really close to a couple of home runs. There were a couple in Minnesota that arguably should have been home runs, but the wind killed it out there. Then he had one earlier in this game that I thought could have been a home run, but kind of ends up being a warning track fly ball for Jake Bauers. But, then the home run that he did get, the 3-run shot, there was no doubt about it. He absolutely smoked that baseball. It was, you could tell right off the bat, you knew wind, no wind. It doesn't matter if that wind was blowing in that day. It was not going to hold that ball in the ballpark for Jake Bauers. And he's been really, really good. Obviously had a great spring training for the Brewers, so you had that optimism coming into the season. Now, there are a lot of times where players who have great spring trainings aren't able to translate that to the regular season, but Jake Bauers has. Jake Bauers is the Brewers' home run leader at this point, just getting home run number 7 on the season. And not only that, you look at just kind of the pure numbers here for Jake Bauers on the season and just where he ranks and what he's done. Just Baseball putting this out on Twitter. There are only 4 first basemen in Major League Baseball with an on-base percentage of at least 360 and a slugging percentage of at least 500. Jake Bauers is in that group with Ben Rice, Bryce Harper, and Munetaka Murakami. So remember, not too long ago, we were talking about Andrew Vaughn and how he compares to Bryce Harper among MLB first baseman production over the last year or so since the Brewers called him up last season. And Andrew Vaughn is right there. This season, Jake Bauers right there with Bryce Harper, Murakami, Ben Rice, among the most productive first basemen in Major League Baseball. And just one of those guys, Harper, there is in the National League. Ben Rice with the Yankees, American League, Murakami, White Sox, American League. So you think about potential all-star type stuff. Jake Bauers is certainly a deserving candidate. I mean, you could maybe make a push for Andrew Vaughn if you wanted to, but he did miss the first month of the season, so it's going to be hard for him to ultimately get up to the stat line that you're looking for there. But Jake Bauers, arguably having that, position as well. Now, granted, first base in the National League is star-studded, even if the production hasn't really matched up with, say, a Freddie Freeman so far. It's going to be very difficult to envision Freddie Freeman not somehow being named to the All-Star team this year. Just saying. But still, Jake Bauers on the season now for the Brewers. I mean, obviously having the on-base percentage there, having the slugging, which is, obviously very good, very productive. He's got the 7 home runs now on the season. But still, you look at the whole picture here for Jake Bauers, and he is now hitting .288 on the season with an .872 OPS. That's an incredible, and he's been playing largely every single day because Vaughn missed that first month. I mean, even when Vaughn's been back, Jake Bauers has been in there largely every single day, whether it's been DH, whether it's been left field. They've been finding a way to get him in the lineup, and why wouldn't they at this point? He's hitting .288 with an .872 OPS, and this is a pretty good sample size at this point. So Bauers over his career has kind of been more of like that 200 hitter. He has some pop, but he's going to be hitting in the low 200s. So for him to kind of make this adjustment, I mean, 2 for 4 RBIs in this game, to make that adjustment, now to be hitting for a higher average and still have that power, and to take that step forward, that is a beautiful thing to see, and it's been a big help here for the Milwaukee Brewers. So Jake Bauers, I mean, you got to give Bauers his flowers in this one. I mean, just not only this game, but what he's done all season for the Brewers with Andrew Vaughn being out, being able to carry over his production. That has put the Brewers in a very, very good spot as they have gone throughout the season here. When you're missing one of your big bats, to have Bauer step up and basically be one of those big bats has been incredible. So it just kind of makes baseball season that much more fun when you have a guy like that you maybe didn't expect to produce this much, but he is able to produce that much. And baseball season is here and now, and you can trade every single game on Kalshi. And if you're looking at the totals here for this game for the Brewers, I mean, that total was jumping way up. And hey, and what did we talk about for game one of this? I mean, the Cubs fan, the Brewers were at like what, 40, 40% or something below that to win by 1.5. And what do we say? And we said take it, and sure enough, they did. And you could have won quite a bit of cash there on Kalshi. Had you just follow what we're talking about here. So just wanting to point that out. Got to point out the wins here when we got them. But another game here today between the Brewers and the Chicago Cubs, and this one kind of more of a 50-50 split for winning it there. But again, if you want to look at the spread here, if you want to take the Brewers to beat the Cubs again by multiple runs, 40% chance for the Brewers to win by over 1.5 runs, and that means that a $100 trade pays out $240 should the Brewers win by 2 runs or more. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FANARCHBASEBALL to get $10 when you trade 10, Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. All right. Also, we've talked about the offense here, and the offense was great for the Brewers, but the starting pitching We got to talk about how Pat Murphy and the Brewers are using this pitching staff as well, because Brandon Sproat in this game on Monday night, he goes 4 2/3. He didn't allow a hit through the first 4 innings, ran into some trouble in the 5th, gave up a couple of runs, and it's like, okay, Pat Murphy didn't let him finish the 5th inning, goes to Shane Drowan. And Shane Drowan goes the final 4 1/3 to finish the game. 2 pitchers that Pat Murphy used, just 2. That was it. And you get Shane Drowan, length there, and he was only had to use like 40-some pitches to get through it, to be able to lock it down, get the win. And then over the weekend, you had Logan Henderson go 5, and then you had Chad Patrick go the final 4. So we've talked about this starting pitching depth that the Brewers have, and when we were talking during spring training, during the offseason, it's like, how in the world are you going to get all these guys to fit? Because you got so many starting pitchers, you got 10, 11, 12 starting pitchers, but you only got 5 spots for the rotation when everyone's healthy. Now, granted, Quinn Priester has been hurt. Brandon Woodruff is on the IL. He's on the mend through a multi-inning bullpen on Monday and should have a live BP coming up on Thursday. But even without those 2 guys, you still have more starting pitchers than you have spots in the rotation. But the Brewers they're not just totally stashing all of these guys in AAA and just keeping them down there and just rolling with whatever 5 guys that they have at the moment. They're finding ways to work all of them in, to work in Shane Drowan, to make sure Chad Patrick gets in, and Henderson and Robert Gasser, getting all of those guys in. And they're able to do it with these kind of piggybacks. Pat Murphy talked about it a little bit post-game, how you kind of have that A-ball piggyback there that you would have when you have all those starters down in low A. You have one guy go 4, the other guy go 4, and you can get everyone there working and cover a game. And that's kind of what the Brewers are doing here. We saw it over the weekend, and then we saw it again here on Monday. You have Henderson and then Patrick being able to just take the entire game. And then you have Sproat and Shane Drowan being able to just take the entire game. And that saves the rest of your bullpen so much. It saves you from having to go to Aaron Ashby and DL Hall and Grant Anderson way too often. It helps keep their arms rested throughout the season, because especially early on, it seemed like the Brewers were going to Aaron Ashby and Grant Anderson a lot. I mean, they still kind of have been, but when you're able to do this, when you have all these length guys out in your bullpen, I mean, basically half the bullpen could basically be length guys at this point, with Drowan, with Patrick in there now, with Hall, with Ashby. All of those guys can give you 3-4 innings. Grant Anderson has gone 2 innings on a couple of occasions. You really only have a couple of like 1-inning guys, and that's McGill and Uribe. They're really the only ones. Everyone else is basically a multi-inning type. Jake Woodford is a multi-inning mop-up dude. We don't see him much, but still, you have a multi-inning guy there. But when you can work in the Shane Drowans, the Chad Patricks, and you can get these guys on the piggybacks, this is so clever by the Brewers to be able to utilize their pitching depth to keep the rest of the bullpen in a really good spot as they head into some of these other games, to keep them rested. 2 out of 3 games, they have gone with this piggyback, and they have kept the rest of their bullpen down. They haven't needed them, haven't needed to use them. That keeps Aaron Ashby fresh for Tuesday. That keeps DL Hall, keeps Abner Uribe, keeps Trevor McGill, keeps Grant Anderson, keeps all these guys fresh. And that is so important as you go throughout the season. So to be able to utilize these starters in this way, to go with these piggybacks, I think we're probably going to see it more from this group. And I don't see why not. It's been working. They've been winning these games when they've been doing that. So you don't have to go the one inning guy, throughout the stretch. You can go these multi-inning relievers and do basically this piggyback, because you have those starters essentially stretched out in that bullpen to turn to. It is incredibly clever. This is why part of the reason why the Brewers got so much pitching depth over the offseason, so that they could do stuff like this, so that they could have enough guys to cover the rotation. And when you haven't more than enough guys that are healthy, it's one thing to protect in case of injury and just kind of go with a normal 5-man rotation. But when you have all these guys healthy as well, you can piggyback and keep that bullpen healthy and rested throughout the season. So that's another cool part of this to keep in mind, especially as you're heading into today, which is Ms. Day for everybody. Happy Jacob Mizrowski Day to all who celebrate, which is probably going to be all of you, all of us, because why not? The way that he has been pitching his last couple of times out, especially his last 3 times out, has been absolutely phenomenal. You just look at the numbers. It's just been sheer dominance. Over his last 3 starts, 18 and a third innings, 6 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 29 strikeouts. Perfect ERA. His FIP, his fielding independent pitching, 0.59. He has just been absolutely dominant. Like, this is not just kind of a sheer luck thing. He has been electric, obviously, with the velocity. A lot of 102s, 103s, 104s even on the velo. And he gets to start today against Ben Brown. So that obviously makes you feel good about your chance to win because you have Jacob Mizrowski on the mound. Last time out goes 7 innings, was about to go 8 before he felt the hamstring cramp. He gets an extra day of rest here because the Brewers kind of pushed everyone back over there in Minnesota. So another day of rest for Mizrowski. He should be fired up and ready to go because, this kid gets fired up pretty easily, to have the adrenaline rushing through his veins through these starts, and that's when you see him hit those 103s and 104s pretty often. When it comes to playing the Cubs at Wrigley, if that doesn't get his adrenaline going, I don't know what will. He's obviously going to be fired up for this game. So can he continue the stretch of dominance? I sure hope so. I sure think he can too. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to. The run that he's on right now, being able to have that command, have that velocity, is absolutely insane, and it puts the Brewers in a great spot to win. Every single time out, we are seeing him develop into a true ace before our very eyes. And not just kind of the ace by default because Woodruff has been hurt. The true ace, the true best pitcher on this squad he is turning into with just the most electric stuff. So that is on deck for us today. Cannot wait for it. Cannot wait to break it down on tomorrow's show as well, as we will throughout the entire season. So be sure to subscribe to Brewers Daily if you haven't already. Get notified every single time a new episode drops. Follow me on Twitter as well at dgasper24. Appreciate all of you watching and listening, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Brewers Daily.